Welcome to the Spirit of a Badass, where we celebrate stories of courage, hope, and resiliency. I am your host, Alecia Jacobson. Have you been feeling exhausted, disconnected from yourself, or like you're constantly taking care of everyone else while quietly wondering, what about me? If on the outside your life looks fine, but deep down you feel stuck, overwhelmed, or unfulfilled, that's where I come in. I help women stop going through the motions and start creating a life that actually feels like theirs again. Through one-on-one coaching, we work on your habits, mindset, boundaries, routines, and the bigger question of who you are and what you actually want. You don't need another self-help book. You need support, honesty, accountability, and space to figure out what's next. If this sounds like you, click the link in the show notes and book a discovery call with me. You will leave the call with a plan and knowing you don't have to continue to do it all on your own anymore. Hello and welcome to today's episode. I am so glad that you are here. My guest today is someone who I have been following on social media. As you guys know, I consume a little bit of social media, and every once in a while somebody shares something and I see something and I'm like, ooh, you are a person that I just want to like soak in what you're sharing. And my guest today you all know that have a kind of a negative personality and like I try to be funny negative. However, my guest today is just one of those people where when you read something that she posts, you feel good. And after kind of just following her for a couple of months, I was like, yes, I need to bring your energy on here. So I really hope that you all feel that too from today's episode, because she is a local woman here in Madison that is just doing really great things. And I want to share her with all of my listeners today. So my guest today is Jazmynn Appleton. She's an entrepreneur, speaker, life coach, and community leader dedicated to helping entrepreneurs, professionals, and underserved communities build confidence while building businesses, creating meaningful connections, and achieving sustainable growth. Over the last 5 years, she has created and led local programs, including Focus, that supports entrepreneurship, economic empowerment, and community development. Jazmynn is the recipient of the 2024 Bravo Women to Watch Award and the 2024 Amy Award. She was also chosen as a Professional of the Month in October of last year for In Business Madison magazine and recently named an In Business Madison magazine 40 Under 40 Emerging Leader honoree, recognizing her impact as a leader, advocate, and changemaker in the Madison community. Through her work as a speaker, coach, mentor, and content creator, Jazmynn helps individuals and organizations strengthen their personal brands, build authentic relationships, and turn their ideas into action. Whether she's mentoring entrepreneurs, leading workshops, creating content that highlights small businesses, or speaking on entrepreneurship, networking, confidence, and leadership, her mission is to help people grow both personally and professionally while creating stronger, more connected communities. Jazmynn is the creator of Networking for Introverts, a workshop designed to help professionals, entrepreneurs, and emerging leaders build meaningful relationships without sacrificing authenticity or draining their energy. Drawing from her own experience as an introvert who has built a highly visible career through strategic networking, she teaches practical approaches to creating connections, building confidence, and balancing network with self-care. She is also the founder of Low Pressure, High Purpose, a monthly community meetup that brings together entrepreneurs, creatives, professionals, and ambitious individuals in welcoming local spaces to connect, share ideas, exchange resources, and build genuine relationships. The gathering was created to make networking feel more accessible, intentional, and community-focused while also supporting local small businesses. Welcome, Jazmynn.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. I love being a podcast guest. I am all for it. So thank you again for inviting me.
Oh, that's exciting. What do you love about it?
I think it's just like being able to speak, but also just having that like conversational flow, like just being laid back, having some regular conversation about big things. It's just very appealing to me. And I always love just talking about my work and being able to learn about the work of who brought me on the podcast and others. So I really enjoy it.
Yeah. So, like I said, when I was talking about kind of bringing you on here, somebody must have posted, somebody shared something. One of my connections shared something about you on social media. And of course, I love to just go deep dive. Like, I don't know about you, but I am quite the little stalker. And I like deep dove. And I just really, I love what you're doing. I love you're one of those people, and I love people who are unafraid to do this. You have your hand on so many different creative things and business and all of these different things. And some people really shy away from that. So I always love when I see someone following their passion, even though it could seem completely not connected. And then you just connect them like a beautiful spider web. And that's what you do in such an inspiring way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and it's crazy because it's like when you say that, it may actually scares me to not have my hands in so many things. So I think that that's interesting. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a beautiful thing how everything I have been doing over the last 5 to 6 years has just kind of tied in together with like somehow they're all connected or somehow can connect in some shape or form. So I think that's how I know I'm truly living in my purpose. I'm doing things that I'm passionate about because they're truly all coming together, and I am super grateful for that. So
yeah, and you seem genuinely excited and happy to be doing it. I mean, I'm a big energy person, and you can just pick up that you are genuinely excited to be sharing this content and the businesses and all the things that you do. Like, you can feel that as somebody who follows you, and that is just a really cool thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love, like, when it comes to just supporting others, I feel like that's just something I've always done, even as a child. Like, I've always loved helping people. I always loved making people smile, making people happy. And so to be able to do this now as an adult, where I'm supporting small business owners, I'm supporting people who want to be small business owners, supporting people in whatever stage they are at. I like to meet them where they are and really help them accomplish their goals and get where they want to be. So.
Yeah. And what got you here? A lot of times there's a person in our lives that's like, oh, that was the person that did this for me, or you have a life experience. So what was your kind of path to get here?
Yeah. So long story short, it was definitely a journey to get to where I am. So I always like to mention I was a teen mom. I had my son right out of high school. I was actually 8 months pregnant when I walked across the stage and I got my diploma. And from there, I wanted to go to college. I knew I wanted to do something with like business, psychology, something like that. So I did take a couple college courses. Long story short, just did not work out for me. Then I wasn't meeting it mentally, just because I had a lot going on. I was going through a lot of different things, unfortunately, that were not the greatest of things. So I actually ended up getting into the credit union world. So I got my first job at a credit union when I was 19. Loved it. I actually thought that that was going to be my purpose, was to provide financial literacy and counseling to others. I did become a certified financial counselor through the Wisconsin Credit Union League back then. And then I was quickly climbing up the ladder within the credit union world. Started off as a teller, quickly got promoted to lead supervisor. So it was a really good experience to be able to have that financial knowledge as well. I did start doing like local presentations throughout Madison around financial literacy, money management, all that good stuff. So I did have a little bit of public speaking in my background at that point, but I knew that I could grow a little bit more, and I was still very just like shy, introverted, kind of closed off. But then unfortunately during the pandemic, I lost my job at UW Credit Union because I had to be at home with my son. I didn't really have much help with him. So that was pretty devastating for me. But at that point, I knew I wanted to do something totally different. Like, I loved what I was doing, but I wanted to just kind of branch out and try something new. And so I got into entrepreneurship myself. I ended up starting a candle business. I took a class through UW Madison's Worth Department, which I'm actually so sad because they just ended their last cohort forever. But it's called Upstart, and took that course. Sabrina Madison had actually taken that course a few years prior to me. So while I was taking that course, I got connected to a lot of different people. It was amazing. And they ended up offering a couple of free complimentary tickets to go to Sabrina Madison's Black Women's Leadership Conference at the time. So took advantage of that, went, loved it, loved the energy in the room, loved seeing all those empowering Black women doing their thing, running businesses. Like, it was just very, very inspiring. And so it really pushed me to want to grow my own business and maybe start some more businesses. But I also knew that I needed some type of regular income coming in. So I seen Sabrina Madison was hiring for an admin position a little while after that. And I was like, okay, maybe I can, get my foot in the door at the Progress Center. And so I reached out to her. Basically, we met and she said, well, I know you're an entrepreneur. So the admin position had been closed, but she did create an inaugural position for me called the Creator of Entrepreneurial Opportunities. And so that's how I got my whole journey started at the Progress Center. It's been about 5 years since I've been there now. And a lot of what I've done is to really support entrepreneurs as a whole, not just as a business owner, but as a person. So a lot of one-on-ones, connecting them to resources, creating opportunities for them like events or workshops. Created the Focus Accelerator with Sabrina, and I've been directing that for several years now. And then also creating local partnerships with other agencies or organizations that support entrepreneurs as well, that can kind of help us come together and provide overall support, technical support, any type of assistance that the business owners may need. Lots of networking events, all that good stuff. So I've been doing that for 5 years, mentoring entrepreneurs. But I also wanted to do something outside of that. So that's why I recently created the low pressure, high purpose meetups for entrepreneurs to get together once a month, creatives, anybody who's ambitious, just to get together to meet up, connect, share ideas, share resources, and provide support to each other. But that's where my journey started. And Sabrina Madison was definitely a huge part in that. So I always give respect to her. She definitely was a huge mentor to me at the time. And then from the, support from my parents, they have been a godsend, despite what they've been through. They have been super, super supportive of my journey as well. So all of them combined, and of course, my son being my main inspiration, it's been an amazing support system. So
wow. And that, I mean, what you described too, the kind of the journey of an entrepreneur, it turns. And I love that you are saying, I couldn't do this. I have to have my hands in all of, like, that's what gives you life. And then you're doing it. Because even when you said starting, and you said businesses, and a lot of times that is really scary for people who are wanting to do one business, and you're like, I want businesses. So what do you, how do you support people when they come in, and because it's scary to take that leap, there's all sorts of, considerations to be made within a person's life, that the things that they are holding, and then what it takes to move forward with that idea or partnership, whatever it is they're doing. How do you work with that and navigate that? Because you said a whole person, because it touches everything in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's just important to be real and honest with entrepreneurs or people who want to be an entrepreneur. Going into it, I didn't think it would be as hard as it was, but I think for me, because I knew that was something I wanted to do truly, it's very rewarding in my sense. But I know for some people, they may get into it just because, they may not want to work under someone anymore, or they want to make money their own way. And I think that's totally fine. But I think it's just really good to think about it as a whole, and to remember, when you're starting out, the money is going to come from you. You're going to need, a good savings amount. You're going to need to really prepare yourself mentally and emotionally. And I always tell people, you go from having, that 9 to 5, and you're working for 8 hours, and then you can leave and come home, and then that's it. But with entrepreneurs, you're working 24/7. And so your mind is constantly racing. You're always thinking of new ideas and ways to really straighten up the business and just everything that comes with it. And so I think it's good to mentally prepare and be ready for all of that as well. And just to kind of make sure that they have a good support system. So I know, especially working with Black women, sometimes the support systems may be scarce. And so that's why I think it's always good to create those connections and to meet people, because a lot of the times your support is going to come from strangers. It might not always come from your direct circle. So,
yeah. And that I love, we're going to seamlessly go into that part because you have then created that space for people. And that's the introvert part that you hit me with that one, because the amount of rooms I have been in and people are, what's your name and what do you do? And I'm like, I run and hide. I don't, all of a sudden it's like, I don't know, what is my name and what do I do? Right. And they say like, oh, get your elevator pitch or whatever that thing is. There could not be anything that sounds worse than that 3-minute conversation where nothing is exchanged. There's nothing remarkable about anything that could be said with that sort of idea. And that is what probably every introvert feels. It's like, I want to know the last time you cried and what made you start your business. Like, tell me something that matters so I remember you. And but also you can't go into spaces that are all, buttoned up and networky and do that. So you have created one community for people that are wanting to start businesses. And then also this introvert kind of creative space. Tell us a little bit about that and what that was born out of.
Yeah. So I think in creating those spaces, it really stemmed from me being able to create those spaces for myself, and to having people in my life who truly supported me in my vision. So again, with my parents, Sabrina, but just friends, just people who really support my overall mission to really create community and support others. I think that's why it's important for me to create that. And I think it's important for me to pass it on because I've been able to have that as well. So basically, what I like to tell people is that these are 3 things that have really, really helped me with not only creating that community, but putting myself out there is 1, being prepared, 2, being very confident in yourself, and then 3, being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Those have been the main things that have truly, truly helped me with getting myself out there, networking. And the funny thing is that despite being so introverted, one thing I have always done very well, even as a child, is allowing myself to be uncomfortable. And I started to realize that's where the growth really starts to happen. That's when amazing things start to come together. That's when I, find these people that can put me into other rooms or can teach me something. I am a knowledge soaker, so I love to soak in knowledge and learn from others. And I think it's really important too to also put yourselves in rooms with people who are doing better than you. I think once you really change up the people that you are around, especially daily, it really does have a huge effect on your life. And if you're around successful people, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be successful as well. So that's why I think it's really important to create those spaces, especially in Madison. People can somewhat be kind of off to themselves, or sometimes it can be groups where they're just kind of in their own little lane. And so I think it's good to bring people from people who have PhDs and people who have been super successful to people who are just starting out or maybe are a college graduate. I like to bring those kinds of people together. We've done that a lot at the Progress Center, but also in general I like to do that to bring different perspectives and ideas and values together as well too. And to also teach people, you don't have to come into the room feeling intimidated or scared, because at the end of the day, you also bring value. And even the people that you feel are, a lot more successful than you still can offer something to them. People can always learn from different places and people. So, I think it's really just about having that backbone, having that community, because it inspires you, it motivates you, it keeps you going, it gives you a why. And so I think it's really important to have like-minded people in the room with you and to be able to share those ideas and collaborate.
Yeah. I think when you said about, get comfortable being uncomfortable, Is that something, because that is a skill. I don't know that I always had it. I was sort of thrust into it out of my very predictable world that I enjoyed very much, and then thrust into, oh, now I'm just uncomfortable 100% of the time, and now I must learn to survive here. But some people have not had maybe that experience, or maybe they've been uncomfortable before, and so they're like, oh, now I'm just going to make my little nest over here very cozy and nice, and I'm not going to go out there. But like you said, that is where the growth happens. That's where you meet the new people. That's where you're given new opportunities. That is where you have to go if this path is, I mean, not 100% of the time. So maybe you can do it without it. However, most of the time that's not going to happen. So how do you encourage that, teach it, get people to buy in, because they essentially have to buy in to being uncomfortable in order to do it. So how do you go about doing that?
Yeah, so I think it starts with the first two things I said, which is being prepared and being confident. And so even like within my networking for introvert shops, even when I'm doing life coaching, one of the main things that I like to address is your inner confidence, doing a lot of self-reflection work. And I think once you really take the time to get to know who you are, where you want to go, what your morals and values are, but also how you want to succeed specifically, like where do you want this to take you. I think that's important to do that work because it really helps you kind of create that overall vision of, okay, well, if I want to do this, well, then I'm going to have to go, network and meet these kind of people. I'm going to have to go create some new things where I'm putting my businesses out there. So it's just different ways to kind of address those different avenues. And so being prepared allows you to really go in the room and then have that confidence. So it kind of spills into being confident when you are prepared and you know what you're talking about. And so just knowing like 3 key things you want to bring up when you're going out and arguing. Remember the things that you want to make sure you're talking about. Making sure you have a good amount of viewpoints and facts and knowledge in regards to those things that you want to bring up. And then just feeling and being confident. So whether it's, positive affirmations, I highly believe in talking good to yourself. I think it truly does make a difference. Telling yourself, I can do this. I'm successful. I'm smart. I'm valuable, whatever the case, whatever you need to tell yourself. And then even it trickles down to the little things like what you wear, like showing up and feeling confident in what you're wearing. When you look good, you feel good. So I'm a believer in that as well. And so I think it's important to really make sure that you're doing that inner work of knowing who you are and where you want to go and being confident in that.
Yeah. And that confidence, that's a tricky one. I think you and I, working with such a wide variety of people, we get to see kind of the inner workings of people. So we have an understanding of everybody from the CEO. You just had people with a PhD. Like I work with all sorts of women, and that is something that almost every single one of my clients working on confidence. And it's something that when I talk to other people, I'm like, no. These other people are not out there. Just, they don't have all the shit figured out and everything together. Right. Everybody, it's like a work in progress, and different things stir it up. And there's sort of like this, when people understand that, oh, other people have this too. Other people who they perceive to be more successful, smart, have it together more. Then it's like, oh, they feel this way too. And everybody has the confidence in certain spaces where it's like, oh, here's a place. And then when you feel that, it's like, oh, I can work here. I can do some inner work, like you said, and kind of tweak some things. But just knowing that one, I have found it's just a work in progress all of the time. Even like, I'm not this, like, I'm confident, but my confidence in certain situations, public situations, where I'm like, oh, can I go hide, please?
Yeah. And I think it's important too to remember, like, everybody has had a starting point. Like, I didn't start, nobody started out as a super successful person. And so it's good to, just kind of remember that and think, even some of the most successful people, especially me personally, that I have met, they've told me they're very shy, they're very introverted, but because they've been, out there networking for years and practicing their craft and working on themselves and really diving into their passions, it naturally gives them that confidence to continue to put themselves out there and to talk to others. And so just remembering like everybody starts from somewhere. And so, whether you do the work now or the work later, it's like if once you dive into it, you realize staying in that comfort zone, it's nice, it's comfortable, but is there anything shifting or happening right there? But you'll notice once you step out of it. So,
yeah. And then it feels really good and inviting. I mean, it's still scary. You still have the scary because once you keep growing and expanding, then things are new again. And it's like, oh,
yeah,
okay,
exactly.
let me refigure this one out. And who can you gather within your group and then, pay it forward like you are doing.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Sure. Okay. So tell us a little bit about the groups that you have created to create this connection. Specifically, there's a lot of my listeners are from Madison. There's a good bit that are entrepreneurs, and how just tell us about what happens, I guess, inside of them, because that can be intimidating for some, even if it's an introverted one.
Yes. So for my networking for introverts, really people just reach out to me to host a workshop. So I've done several of them at Marquette. I'm actually going to be doing another one at Marquette University this year. So I'm super excited about that. I've done them at local financial advisor firms. I've done that at UW-Madison. So different places that just kind of reach out to me that either, working with undergrad students who are going to go out there and end up looking for a career, to people who may be shy within their workplace and they want to learn how to network on behalf of the business that they work for, or just someone who may want that one-on-one coaching. That group is really just, come as you are. I want you to, don't be afraid to really, kind of really name where you are currently as far as what networking looks like to you. So I do like to talk about like, what is networking to you? What does it mean to you? And then what do you want it to mean to you? In the workshops though, I absolutely love those because I really curated those workshops to where they're very like hands-on, they're very interactive. I do like real life scenarios. We do some role playing, and that right there in itself is uncomfortable. And so they have the opportunity in the workshops to be uncomfortable. And I think it's hilarious because when I was in school, I absolutely hated activities that involved us talking to people or working with partners. And so I think that's funny. But when I've done it at Marquette and Starting Block and just like everywhere else I've done it, they actually really found a lot of value in those real life scenarios and being able to interact with the other people in the room because they can all relate to something. They're all introverts or they just want to learn how to network better. And so right then and there, they already have something to kind of connect on. And I think that's important too. But it's really just a way to empower you, and way to empower where you want to go, empower your journey. So I think it's amazing that I can really show people on just the benefits of networking, because honestly, networking has gotten me to where I am today. Again, I don't have a college degree, so I had to rely on connecting with new people and finding out where different opportunities are and making a table for myself, especially too, because there's not going to always be people who bring you to the table. So I think it's good to insert yourself in different rooms where, you may not have been invited to, but insert yourself in there anyway. Put yourself out there and make yourself known. And so the workshops really go through, again, real life scenarios on networking, but also confidence building activities, just different ways that they can share and put themselves out there, setting goals as well. And then I help them create their own systems for networking. So their own networking system. And that looks like, finding out what networking events are out there and really kind of matching it to your needs. And also remembering too, you don't always have to start big, check out some local, more intimate networking events and then maybe graduate to the bigger like conferences and those kinds of things. So kind of seeing what events you want to go to, setting your goals of maybe seeing who's going to be in that room so you know who to talk to, and setting a goal of, I'm going to talk to 1 to 3 people. And then that's it. You don't need to go in there and talk to 20 people. You don't need to go in there and, shout out your name to the whole room and that kind of thing. It's really just those intimate connections that you're making, those meaningful ones. And then also showing them a plan of how to follow up with people. So that's what the workshops and stuff look like. And the one-on-one coaching, just giving them tips and giving them that boost, that motivation to really get out there and say, hey, this what has networking has done for me, and it can definitely do the same for you. And then the low pressure, high purpose, I actually started that at the beginning of the year. And again, that's for, not just entrepreneurs, but creatives, people who are just ambitious. People who just want to be around people who are, constantly doing new things. And so once a month, we've been meeting up at a local business. For the most part, I try to pick like small businesses because that's also a way for me to promote the small business and let it be known that that business is there. So I'm kind of supporting those local small businesses as well as supporting the people who are attending the meeting. So it's super, super cool. I like to get content, of course, while I'm there. So I'm able to, like, when I am posting the content, I'm showing that this small business is here in Madison or, surrounding areas. And then these are the people who are taking part. It's a very diverse group of people. It's funny because I did a speaking engagement at UW-Madison earlier this year, and the girl who brought me on, she's a little bit younger than me. I actually ended up inviting her to the groups, and she's absolutely loved them. She's loved the fact that she's been able to have other people to talk to around her age, and being able to connect with people who are also ambitious in that kind of way. So I'm always trying to, if you're looking for community, if you're looking for people who are, maybe going down the path that you want to go or on the path that you were on, and you want to be able to collaborate and do lots of cool things with each other. I always am, come on in, come on over to the groups. Again, it's very laid back. So these are not events that I'm planning. I'm not like ordering food and cake, like all that stuff. It's really just meet me at this spot here. Let's get together. Let's talk. Let's chat. Let's make some content with each other. And the beautiful thing that has really come out of that is everybody has connected in some shape or form. Everybody has had similar interests that they can connect with. And people have been able to like share different opportunities with each other and say, hey, I know this person who does this. I can connect you to them. So it's been a really beautiful thing, and it continues to grow. The last one we just had was at One Social Food Hall. We've had one at the Bad Art Co. in Oregon, which is a women and LGBTQ owned establishment, and it's super dope. So I'm really loving what is blooming and coming from these meetups. So
yeah, I think that's something I know in my own life. I realized a couple months ago, I'm like, oh, I'm not going out anywhere. I have I do my workout, and then I come back home and I work from home. And I wasn't, it's like I could feel it inside. It wasn't like a loneliness. It was just like I needed something more. And so something, the one that you did at, is it Bad Art Co? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw that one. I thought about coming because I'm like, okay, once a month now, I'm going to do something out of my house to get me around people. I've been calling it natural networking, and just like doing things that aren't necessarily networking, but it gets me around people. I took an art class, just things where it gets your creative, I guess, juices going, and also forces me to go out and speak to people that I don't, because I think, we get in these ruts, we get very consistent, that's what we're designed to do, is just efficiency. But efficiency doesn't necessarily move the needle, especially when you're a business person. And if that is your goal, is to grow a business, then getting out there and making those connections with people is so important. And I love how you said, when you're creating these kind of containers for connection, you have this person who might have this opportunity available. Or I think that's probably, if I would like when you're saying this, my dream job would be to be like this magical connector, because I love, like, when you're talking, I'm like, who do I know? And that is like how my brain works, is I listen for things, and then I'm like, oh, you would be a good person for this. And I just love, or if somebody has a need, it's like, I want to connect all of these people to help support them. That's like my favorite thing in the whole world. I get the most random requests. People like, hey, I just had a feeling that you would know the answer to this and figure this out. I'm like, oh, do I ever? Here's 3 people that can go help you. That's like my favorite thing ever. So I love that it's very inspiring because people need connection, especially like, you said you lost your job in COVID. And I know for me personally and a lot of other people, COVID sent us into this very comfortable working at home, not getting out there. And we are social beings. And even as, introverts, we still are social beings that need connection and people to grow and to thrive. You can't really thrive really by yourself. I mean, maybe some people can, but even this introvert needs other people and stories. It's like when I took this art class, I met this woman there, and I'm not going to cry during it, but I do cry when I think about her. She legitimately changed me. And this was an hour long, and hearing her story and who she was, I will not be the same after meeting her. And those are opportunities that you are providing people, is like they are going to be different after, just like that you had these opportunities that were, you put yourself in these rooms and you are not the same. And it's just, it's really important for, I think, men too, but women especially, that is who I, speak to. What do you notice is kind of are there any differentiating factors of people that just go for it? I know you said, the confidence in that piece, but once they kind of come in, like what are the kind of things or skills to kind of propel you forward?
I think really being open-minded to new people and experiences is super helpful. And being able to really take in different perspectives and hear other ideas. I think when you're kind of closed off and closed-minded, you're not going to take in any new information. So therefore, it might be hard to grow in certain areas. But I think when you're really open and willing to learn other things, it's very helpful to kind of propel you forward, but also to having those working on those communication skills, being personable. I think, despite me always being introverted, I know I've always taken pride in the fact that I can somehow find ways to relate to others in some shape or form, or just really be willing to understand and comprehend different backgrounds and experiences of others, because everybody has a different story. And so being willing to kind of put yourself in other people's shoes and say, hey, this person has went through this and that, and they still were able to accomplish X, Y, and Z. So really being open-minded, being someone who is who loves to learn and take in new information as well, and being someone who actually wants to grow and expand in different ways is super helpful too.
Yeah. What are some of the things that you have been excited about learning lately?
Let's see. I mean, I've really been excited about the creative side of things, because obviously, like, I know a lot of the business side of things, but I've been really into the whole creative stuff because I love being creative. And so even with, like, for example, a couple of my friends are local music performers or poets, and I've been writing poetry since 17, but I have never done spoken word yet. And so I love learning about the whole creative kind of aspects of things. Um, I really love learning different ways to provide coaching, since now that I am a life coach. I really love learning different ways to be able to support people and kind of navigate different situations that people might be going through. And then I love to cook as well. So just kind of learning about like food and stuff like that. Like, I'm a huge foodie. And so the one cool thing that I've been doing is when I'm going out and trying new places, and obviously I always like to get content when I'm doing that to kind of showcase the place that I'm going to bring them business and that kind of thing. But learning about different like cultural backgrounds when it comes to the food and what's put into the food and the love that's put into the food. Like I love learning about different kind of things when it comes to that aspect as well. So
yeah. Do you cook with love?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I grew up Yeah, I mean, my family has always been huge on cooking. My dad's side, we would grow up and somebody was always cooking like all the time. It wasn't even just the holidays. Like for me, my parents, they would have every weekend almost, we would have like barbecues. And I think that's where having community kind of stemmed from for me, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, because every weekend we would have these like barbecues and people from the apartment building that we were living in, they would come over and come get some food and come kick it with us. And so I thought that was super dope that my parents were doing that almost every weekend. And then family from out of town would come and all that good stuff. And then my dad's side, like my aunt is a caterer in Chicago. Her food is amazing. She got that from my granny, and my granny would always have these big dinners, especially every Sunday. My dad has always been like the barbecue king. So everybody, like even people I grew up with, they still ask me about my dad cooking and stuff like that. And it's hilarious. So grew up with, lots of good chefs around me. Everybody in my family can cook to some shape or form. And so when I'm cooking, it definitely brings me like therapy. It brings me peace. And, obviously having a son, I'm always trying to find different recipes and things to make him because he is a human garbage disposal at this point. He is 5'8" and he's taller than me and he's only 11. So it's like I'm having to feed him constantly. So, but yeah, I think it's just fun to find new recipes and just to like the whole art of cooking and the details and all that good stuff that goes into it is really cool. So,
oh, I love that. I love that you connect the barbecues and having your kind of neighbors and community over to kind of your first taste of community.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really neat. I wish I planted a little herb garden. I don't cook with love. I bake with love. I bake my bread with love, which I didn't realize, but it's so interesting. I never had this concept of cooking with love, and my husband does, and he says it, and there is a difference. And mine is like, we just cook to eat because we have to live and we need to eat, which is kind of how, as you're saying, the having your neighbors and everybody over. I never had that growing up. It was basically you eat to live and that's it. And which is how I am. So I don't have the connection of food and community like so many people do have. So unfortunately my children don't get, they're like, what can we whip together the quickest and be done because we have all these other things to do. There's a whole experience that is missing in that part of it. For them. Yeah, that's right. It's fine. But they can hopefully learn that skill from their dad or someone else because they are definitely not getting it from this girl.
And there's days like that too. Like I definitely have my days where I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna put something together, throw something in the oven. But I think too, for me, it's like when I see people eating my food and they're just like, "Ooh, it's so good!" Like I just love making people happy. And I don't know if it's like maybe also coming from me being a recovering people pleaser too, because I always, I used to have a people pleasing thing in my history, but. Yeah, just seeing people like, and it's funny because it's like, even when I've had a significant other, like, I'm like, I want you to eat the food while it's hot. Like, eat it while it's hot. Eat it when it's first ready. I don't want to have to reheat it. And and then I just like seeing people's reactions. So it's funny.
I didn't understand that. I didn't know that was a thing. Until I did not do the sourdough baking during COVID. I only started about a year ago. And then I would give it to people. People are like, can I pay you? It's so good. I'm like, no, I just need you to tell me how good it is. And then I get it because my husband is like that. He's like, how is it? How is it compared to the last one? And my stepmom also, like, if she gives you something, she wants you to tell her. She's never actually articulated that, but she'll follow up and ask. And I always thought I was so curious about that. And now I'm like, oh, there's this whole group of people that is their love that they show you. And then you give it back by reciprocate and telling them how great it is. And I'm like,
right.
I got you now. I got you.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
That's lovely. So you are a woman of big dreams and big goals. What are you currently like? What is out there that we know what you're doing, but is there anything that you're like, this is a big goal that I have?
Yeah. So I think I have kind of started to hit some of the goals that I wanted to accomplish this year. I will say that I can't say too much on it yet, but I have started to work with other like organizations outside of Madison to be able to provide either coaching or my networking for introverts stuff. So I'm super excited about that. I think one of my big goals is I really want to be able to I really want to get booked for speaking engagements outside of Wisconsin. I want to start traveling. I want to start, going throughout the US and doing any type of public speaking really, but of course my networking for introverts because that's like my baby there, but also like anything entrepreneurial related, just like personal and self-development. My end goal is I really want to create something for young single mothers because that's where I came from, to be able to provide them like all around support, training, and those kinds of things. Kind of like what I've had, but a little bit more. And to be able to give them that confidence, but also like different tools and resources and just overall community and support. I want to be able to provide like scholarships at one point for people and funding for small business owners. So that's like one of my big end goals. But yeah, I think right now just really working on trying to get booked for speaking outside of Wisconsin and really making a whole community for introverts outside of Wisconsin as well. So whether it's virtually, whether I'm, traveling and then I'm connecting with other people who can start those groups in other states would be really cool too. So lots of different things I'm working on. I'm always evolving. I feel like I have no prime because I'm always evolving. And so, I think I'm really excited about the things that I'm working on and fingers crossed that, I'm able to make all of those dreams come true soon. So.
Oh, I have no doubt. That's why I asked because I'm like, I had Amanda Merrick on a couple weeks ago. She does Active Youth Wisconsin and brings kids does after school programs and all of this stuff. And I had her on because my current obsession is High Rocks and she recently did it. And I could tell just by talking to her, I was like, you have a big goal with that, right?
Yeah.
And she had talked about having goals and essentially having her community as invested in her goals as she is. Yeah. And that's how I feel like that same energy with you, where it's like she also creates community. That's her like mission and drive is creating community and building community. And that when she talked about having other people as invested in her goals, I feel like whatever your goal is, I cannot wait to see you do that because you are a person, one, you're planting seeds into everyone else and watering them and doing that. But there is a palpable like drive in you that you are a person that it's like, 100%. There's no doubt that not only are you going to like nail those goals, you are going to supersede them. And it's going to be like, holy shit, here, this was my goal. And then all of these people connected me and wow, who would have you are one of those people.
Thank you. Yeah. And I think too, it's like my son is the hugest motivation for me as well because he is so cute. He told me like at school sometimes he'll Google my name and then show all of his friends like my accomplishments and all of my awards and all that stuff. And then he'll go and tell his like dad side of the family that his mom is famous and all that stuff. So just hearing him say that, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, okay, now I got to keep going. I gotta find the next thing to accomplish because I just got to keep impressing him at the end of the day and impressing myself too. Like, I think I really like sometimes it takes me a while to kind of take everything in, but when I really sit back and think about like with all the things that I have been through, so little bit of background, both of my parents have had cancer. So I've been through that. I've been through domestic violence. I've been through lots of different things. And it doesn't sadden me anymore because it's like, this is part of my testimony. This is part of my story. And to be able to accomplish what I've had going through all of the things I have gone through, it's really like, wow, like it's kind of like a God did moment. And it's also like a Jazmynn did moment. I really pushed through. I really overcame so much. And then also too, like dealing with depression and anxiety, like especially when your mental is not in a good state, to be able to still accomplish your goals with your mental kind of being all over the place. I think it's just a huge accomplishment. So I think it's also important for other people too to be like, you may feel a little behind or something like that, but just really sit back and take a look at what all you've overcome and all the obstacles you've been able to drive through. And that can really push you to keep going. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is remarkable. And even, when people think like behind or this, like there is no timeline for any, I mean, we can do anything whenever we want, whenever the time is right. And that is something that I've kind of have struggled with a little bit because I have, my divorce and then having work, all of these things I've had. And it's like, well, no wonder, like I'm literally in the weeds of everything all the time. Yet I'm like you, where it's like, I want this and I want to do this and I want to build this and I want to create this. And it brings me so much life, but I already have so much life. And I have my community of people who have to check me every once in a while that it's like, no, girl, you're good. And the mental health piece, the amount of healing that I have had to do just in the last 3 years, where my life finally came from like a boiling over pot to just like a simmer, that I could finally like, oh, let me take this time now because I actually have time to like heal my nervous system. And reflecting back, which I don't think we do enough, and what we have done and what we have built and overcome, and then shown to everybody, out there watching you, that if you can do it, why not them? Of course, them. Yeah. And it's just so inspirational. And to your son, that is really cool. And that age too, when I, for the Bravo magazine, the influencer one, because I got that for the podcast, and my girls are like, oh, mom's an influencer, like she's on, they do this. It's like, for them, it is the coolest thing. And I love hearing about the kids really just like so proud of their mothers and what they're doing and what we get to show them that we're doing, especially like in the school. Like I have that swell of love that when my kids do it, and a little bit of embarrassment too, because I'm like, oh, that would be the introvert in me. And like, what are you saying in your school? Right. But I do love that happens, because he is so proud of you and what you have done, and that he gets to watch you show all these other people what a badass you are.
and when they say too that kids really do pay attention, like they really do pay attention and kind of imitate some of the things that you're doing. And so I think it has worked, and it's trickled down, because now my son, he's a little entrepreneur himself. Like, he's 11. The last few years, he's had like little summer businesses that he does. And he has like, cause I helped his dad as well start a vending machine business even before I became an entrepreneur. So I think that also pushed me to become an entrepreneur as well, cause the fact that I helped someone else start a business too. But so his dad helped him start a little like candy business in the summertime. He's also like washed cars and stuff like that on his own and made some money. Like, he'll come back with $60-$70 in like 3 hours. I'm like, what the heck? So he's super innovative and super business minded already at the age of 11. And so I think that's been the most important thing to me, is to be a role model for him and to show him like there are so many things that you can do. Everything doesn't have to be like the traditional route. There are so many different things that you can do with your life. So
and I think that is something I have tried to hammer home on here of it doesn't have to look a certain way. And I think even when you talked about, dressing for confidence, I remember when I would show up at these things, I would wear heels and I would try to look like a quote unquote like business owner. I should not dress that way because there is nothing else that makes me feel less confident than when I am in heels in some suit jacket, because I felt like I was wearing somebody else's clothes, and you can't be confident in something like it matters. And wearing something that I felt confident in. However, that was not your traditional work attire. And it took me years to be like, no, girl, wear your tennis shoes and wear what you feel confident in. And now I'm like, okay, I will be the only person looking like this. And if I am, that's fine. And usually I'm not. But just leaning into your confidence, knowing there is no straight path and a straight path makes for a boring story. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
I agree. That's why, I'm not ashamed when I go into these, even I've gone into some of the most super professional businessy events, and I am still not going there. I go in there unashamed to say, yeah, I had a baby at 18. It is what it is. It's a part of my story. But then they're like, they hear that and they're like, oh, okay. But then they hear everything that came after that and how I was still able to become who I am today. And they're like, oh, wow. Okay. So, and maybe that changes some things in their mind too. Well, maybe I had a certain viewpoint on people who did have kids young. And this really opened my eyes to be like, wow, people have, really can do amazing things despite certain circumstances that they've had in their life. So yeah, I think it's good to know that not everything has to look the same or feel the same. And even if you were the only one to come into an event with tennis shoes on, you're going to stand out anyway. And I'm always in the business of stand out, be different, be cool, be creative. And so I think that's important too. And that's also a talking point. People are going to come up to you and be like, oh, I love those shoes, or, oh, what you have on is interesting, stuff like that. So yeah, dressing comfortably. And, of course there are events where they're going to probably, be a little bit more upscale or whatever, which is fine. But you can look upscale and not have to have, 6-inch heels and a business suit on. You can come in there with something else and still feel confident, but also still look presentable too. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Lean in your own way and tell your story. And that's what I think too. I mean, that is the whole reason that I saw you and was like, hey, come share yourself here, because you were so authentic and so telling your story and other people's stories that every time I saw you, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember, because that's how you become. It's not having that straight line. It's telling stories. It's doing, just who you are and everything that you're doing is so memorable and inspiring that other people want to soak you up, because you're great.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else that you think would be helpful for the listeners, whether it's entrepreneurship or maybe getting involved in community?
Yeah, I would say, one thing that, especially in the pandemic, I think what that really taught me was to, you don't have to settle. So I feel like you don't have to settle for a job. You don't have to settle for a career. You don't have to settle for certain life circumstances. I feel like you can really create the life that you want, create the life that you do not need a vacation from. And that has been my goal, is to continue to shape and create my life the way I feel it's going to be best for me, but also that gets me excited every day, that makes me want to get up out of bed every morning. So I think it's important too, to really know that you can create that life for yourself. You can find things that you're passionate about. You can make income off of things that you're passionate about. It's really just all about being prepared, getting the knowledge, learning about what you may be facing, and then kind of diving in. And then remember to start becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable, because that's when things start to really move and shake, and that's when you start to grow.
Yeah. Thank you, Jazmynn, so much. I appreciate you and everything that you do out in the community and for entrepreneurs and business people, and also just who you are as a human. You're so lovely, and I just really appreciate you. And thank you for being here.
Well, the feeling is mutual. I love what you're doing as well. I love what you have to say. And so thank you again for bringing me on. It was an honor to be on the podcast with you. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Spirit of a Badass is a Lit Path Studios podcast and is produced by Jamie Gale and Alecia Jacobson. Music by Shane Ivers. We'll be back with another inspiring interview. Until then, keep your spirits high and your energy badass.